Hi, welcome to Reaction Shots for the month of July. This month we're talking about practical effects in movies, a good favorite topic of ours.
It really is.
I'm joined by Michael Huber.
Hello.
AJ Locasio.
Hello.
And myself, Ian Hink. I am co-hosting it with Mike and AJ. You're the host, too. You're not a guest.
Yeah, okay.
You're a co-host.
Oh, okay. Is
AJ,
it co if there's three?
Yeah.
Or is it? Okay.
Tri-host.
Junior.
That's what I want. Yeah, junior host.
Junior. AJ, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, especially vis-a-vis flims or like anything you want.
Flims.
Why
Oh, that's a word for
about,
films.
Yeah.
I was like,
You
flims,
got me
is
on
that
that
one of
one.
those weird
Flims.
those weird Dutch candies
It's like
back there?
It's like your Skip's tingly prawn cocktail that you're obsessed with right now. Never had them.
No,
You just like the
this
packaging.
show is sponsored today
by Skip's tingly
Skip.
prawn cocktail.
There's several back there. That's what's so baffling to me. There's a whole
Bags.
treasure trove of
There's
weird, unpronounceable, beautiful candies and snacks back. That's what I'm about. Let's talk about that today.
But
I
anyway,
think
you
half
like
the allies don't like fish.
Oh yeah, I
like-
hate fish.
You hate fish. Brad hates fish.
I like fish as a fish, but I don't like it in the form of a chip.
Yeah.
But and I'm not talking about like fish
I
and
like
chips.
to
I mean
look
like
at fish.
yeah.
And I'll eat like an albacore or whatever, like
We're getting
entry
way off.
level fish.
Way off.
Anyway, just tell them how you make props and stuff.
Oh, okay, sure. I went to school for film. So there you go. That relates to films.
That relates
I
to
love films. And I make props in my spare time just for fun. I don't necessarily do it professionally, although sometimes. But usually I just do it because I'm a total prop geek. I love making things.
He loves them, and he's good
love
at
it. Thank you, Ian.
It's crazy. Like your apartment looks like the haunted mansion.
Oh, thank you. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well,
let's
success.
haunt this crappy apartment.
Haunt it.
Is that
Anyway.
what you asked? That's what you want to know, right?
Yeah, I
You
just
want to give
wanted
me
to
some
know-
credibility.
People want to know why you're here. He's also an accomplished voice actor.
Some
done-
might say.
Yeah. Got on the scene, burst onto the scene as Marty McFly in the Back to the Future game.
Yes, that's
Telltale, one of the
true.
early Telltale games, still using
Yeah.
the same engine. Just a little dig there.
Yeah, I know. No comment here.
No
I don't
comment, no
know.
comment.
I don't play.
And you were on the Cruise.
The Dawn of the Cruise, yeah,
Croods.
big hit DreamWorks show, and nothing else that we could talk about that you might know about. So
Right.
I gotta keep that close to the chest.
Yeah.
But
I'll keep
some
the
other
secret
stuff coming up. That's
I know,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
the
Close to
secret
the
is safe
chest
to me.
or close
in-
to the vest?
Close to the
Which one is it?
I've always thought it
I
was
don't-
chest, but then I hear people say vest.
Vest.
I feel like
sometimes.
in
But I'm not
Dark
always
Knight,
wearing a vest.
I feel like in Dark Knight, Harvey Dent says you keep it close to the vest.
Yeah.
Isn't he
Gordon.
like actually Australian though? So can we
Yeah.
trust him with those?
It might be
a slightly
original.
different version in Australia.
And then it turned
maybe.
out that it was like voila.
I just made that
when I
up.
was a kid,
I
thought
don't know if that
voila.
actor's Australian. He's probably American.
Who?
I don't know.
Aaron Eckhart?
Harvey,
Aaron
is that his
Eckhart.
name?
Aaron
Amelia
Eckhart.
Earhart?
Is he Canadian?
I don't know what he is.
Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know what he is.
Whatever
Anyway,
it is, I enjoyed his performance.
this
Speaking
is
of
gonna be
practical effects,
this is gonna be a
Aaron Eckhart is actually a
meandering-
practical effect. He's three men puppeteered
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's a rubber man.
a rubber man.
One of
He's a
the
rubber
little
man.
the secrets that you don't hear about in Hollywood is that there's plenty of rubber men running around.
Yeah, 4 or 5 at least.
At least
any
4 or
time.
5 rubber women. Rubber women is a whole
Yeah,
other thing.
yeah,
I didn't mean to
no,
say that. I meant to
no,
say
yeah.
rubber men.
The rubber men are operated by a team of like with pulleys and stuff.
Yeah, it's real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know you're
You guys
talking to
lost
one
me.
until like hours later when the men finally climb out of the puppet. You're like, oh my
They're like-
god, I'm so embarrassed.
They're like union break. This
Climb
is
out
what
of-
this episode is gonna be
yeah,
like.
I'm sorry.
probably.
I just made Is this the first episode or
This
is there?
is the fourth?
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not starting this off on a really weird wrong foot.
Oh, it did, and now
Okay.
we've been getting looser and more casual. The
Yeah.
first couple were like freaking like PhD dissertations, and people were like, "Pump the brakes,
Bump it.
pump those brakes." But I am going to start talking about the topic right now, so
Yes,
prepare your
please.
minds. Okay, practical effects. We're talking about things that are practically on set, physical things that light is hitting, the camera is filming.
Physical manifestations.
Physical manifestations of people's skilled labor.
Yes.
Right.
Guts, makeup. This includes special effects makeup. This includes guts and gore. This includes miniatures, forced perspective, This includes, we'll talk about the fountain later, one of my favorite practical effects of all time.
It's incredible.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, I would even say, I mean, we'll talk about this more later, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit has a lot of practical effects mixed in
people
with
don't even
physical.
realize how deep that gets.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
Some other examples. I like to list a few examples just to get people's minds in the right spot. The Thing is a huge one, obviously. Pan's Labyrinth, 2001. Jaws, Lord of the Rings, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has some cool forced perspective stuff in there.
They also just enjoy the way those sets are built, the way they loop around on each other and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some really weird, like, wait, how did they do that? It's like Jim Carrey climbed through a cabinet and killed a guy to get to the other side of the set before the camera got there. Yeah, they actually killed multiple Jim Carreys.
Oh yeah,
That's
the
what
rubber
it
man.
is.
It's
yeah,
like,
all those rubber men.
Yeah.
That's if there's
It's
anyone
the
who's a
rubber
rubber man, it's
yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Except he does it a whole different way.
Yeah, it's a different
He's just
thing.
Jim Carrey inside of a Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
Rubber
it's
man
like the
suit.
Prestige with the birds. They're just spoiler. A lot of birds die in the Prestige.
Yeah,
they're just killing off multiple Jim Carreys.
I was just gonna bring up the Prestige, but then I thought it might be too spoilery. But
well, I went in a different direction with that.
Yeah. It's okay. Scanners, Apollo 13, Terminator 2, Star Wars, Independence Day, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Fly, Jason and the Argonauts, early one, Inception, Dark Knight, Alien, Jurassic Park, Mad Max Fury Road, American Werewolf in London, Tron, Dark Crystal, Slither, and millions of others.
You ended that list with Slither?
I put it on the Slither.
I mean, Slither, yeah. It's a ton of practical
I did.
effects there.
We do have a new segment that we introduced last month that I completely forgot about until right now. What have you liked recently?
Ooh, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was great.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, hello, I'm Spider-Man.
Let's talk briefly about Spider-Man, a movie that uses a lot of CG.
It's tons of CG. It's
Tons of CG, but like some practical stuff.
Yeah, I would
Like
say
the what I really loved is all the technology, the weapons.
Yeah.
Like when they're in the ATM, they have those weapons. It feels more grounded. Like when your CG is restrained, that's when I think it works best, and I think they showed restraint.
Yeah, weirdly.
All things considered, for a huge $200 million Marvel summer blockbuster, there was some
The only
restraint.
times it really stood out to me was when Peter Parker was kind of flipping around on like rooftops and stuff. I was like, all right, the movement's a little uncanny, but whatever.
It
was
works
like
for
getting
him.
dragged by the truck, which was really
that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That movie was a lot of fun, and his little friends are so funny.
Everything about that movie. So I went in, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I went in kind of with my arms crossed. I even went alone because I was like, if I don't like this, I'm going to be a jerk. And all my friends are going to be like, oh, AJ. So I went alone, like when at first, on like the first screening I could. And I just sat there with like a bucket of popcorn. And I was like, go ahead, Spider-Man. Impress me. And like right out of the gate, I was like, ah ha ha ha. I was like, they got me. They just got me immediately. And then, there's always that tension of like, can they hold my attention?
Right,
and is this going to continue? It just kept getting better. Yeah. Like I loved Michael Keaton. He was kind of chewing the scenery a little bit, but in a way that was kind of satisfying. And
it
you're
never
like,
went
oh.
too far.
No, exactly. He was like, I'm the bad guy, see, because I do bad things. But he wasn't. He wasn't unreasonable. It wasn't like Willem Dafoe in the first movie. We were just like, oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like that. I enjoy.
Willem.
Old Willem. But like, that movie just got me. All the jokes per minute were
Karen.
awesome. Yeah, Karen was
Jennifer
great.
Connelly.
Yeah, I
Jennifer
know.
Connelly.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The wife of the guy who does the voice of Jarvis. So that's kind of like a weird inside
that's
joke.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I didn't know they were married.
Whoa.
Those are two incredibly lucky people.
Who's the voice of Jarvis? Is it Jude Law?
No. It's
sounds like Jude
Paul
Law.
Bettany.
Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
Paul
So
Bettany.
I might be starting rumors, but what I heard is that they're married, so that was like an inside joke that she'd be the voice.
That's very funny.
I didn't think I was gonna like that too. The whole aspect of the tech. To me, I was like, Peter Parker's he's a kid in a crappy suit that he made. He's just running around fighting people and trying to keep up. But like, I was like, and another thing was like my arms are sort of crossed. Like, come on, Tony Stark's gonna infuse Spider-Man with like a Siri. But it worked. It was really funny. It gave him something to do when he was alone. There's so much fun stuff.
Did you see
in it.
Civil War?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And as you can see, but tell by my tone,
Yeah.
did not have the same feeling about Civil War.
I thought Civil War was pretty whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I was just saying because Spider-Man's in that too, so
Yeah.
I was wondering if you
liked him
in that. Or
Oh, he's great in it. I mean, as soon as he pops into those movies, him and Robert Downey Jr. in those scenes, the whole movie lights up and it becomes primary colors.
The reason I love Civil War so much though is because the practical effects I think are the best in any of the Marvel movies.
What's a good...
Ton of stuff. The whole fight with Winter Soldier and Captain America when they're going down the stairwell.
Oh, yeah. There was some cool stuff there, yeah. There was great moments in that movie.
The car chase. Like
Black Panther was awesome in that. The car chase was so cool.
Running.
I'll give you that. I liked
all that stuff.
Black Panther was probably my favorite part of that movie, other than Peter Parker. Like there was something to him, whereas the rest of the characters, like Vision, people, I'm like, who? What? What is this like throwaway X-Men character? That's, but Vision, and then who was it? Scarlet Witch.
Played by Paul Bettany.
Is he? Oh boy, I can't
Bettany,
keep up.
there he is.
He's everywhere. I wake up at night, I'm like, Paul Bettany. He's just there at my window, scratching. Please.
Pretty sure that's him. Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It is.
But yeah, bring it back to Spider-Man. It's great.
Did you see Baby Driver?
I haven't, but I heard it's awesome.
I loved it.
That's all I've heard from people. Yeah. That's incredible.
The the story is, the romance is whatever, but like, oh my god, just the and I won't spoil anything, but like the attention to detail with the cinematography, the forethought, the pre-production, the planning on this movie is nuts. They edited it. I read an article recently. They edited it on set.
Nice.
Like as they were shooting, because they had to know if they got the timing right, because the entire movie, not the entire movie, but like huge swaths of this movie are timed to the music that they cleared the rights for before principal photography, because otherwise they couldn't shoot the movie.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because they had to know which song they were doing it to. Like this movie is amazing and you need to see it.
Okay.
We'll talk more in depth about it, hopefully on a spoiler cast once people have seen it. But yeah. Oh man, Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Stupid title, but man.
Oh, that sounds like
I
like that title.
Yeah.
I know everything I need to know right in that title. It's
Yeah.
about a kid who can't drive, who drives.
I also saw the
About a
Beguiled.
toddler. What is the
Oh yeah,
Beguiled?
how's the Beguiled?
It was good. I thought it could have been better though. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's one of those movies that I was like happy to see, and I came out like happy that I saw it.
You come out of everything happy though.
No, I mean like that's a loss. That's a loss for me though. Is when I come out kind of like,
Okay.
like I enjoy like almost every movie I see. Yeah, but you know, if there's like small enjoyment and then like, oh my god, probably like when I'll see Baby Driver or even Spider-Man: Homecoming, where I'm just like, I'm obsessed with that. And I thought The Beguiled was just okay. So much detail. You're talking about cinematography. So much detail in that movie of just like filming costumes and sets and just really good imagery. But the characters didn't have that many layers.
I heard it was a little lugubrious.
I don't know.
Lugubrious. Define that word for our younger readers.
Slow paced.
It's like Series of Unfortunate Events. If you guys read that, we're like, that word here means, then he gives you like an approximation of the definition, but not really what it. Anyway.
Just slightly
I don't like
hollow
those books.
characters. Kind of a disconnect.
What was the last movie? I have another one that I liked recently that I just remembered. But what was the last thing you came out of
pissed?
Like you did not like it.
Do you get that way?
Yeah.
I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. It's like, what was it? What crossed the line?
I think it was something everyone loved. Actually.
I know. I remember this. I remember this.
Yeah.
It was Logan, wasn't it?
No, he loved
I
Logan.
know. Who didn't love Logan? I left Logan just like.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
All right. Yeah.
It'll come.
We'll tune back in.
Yeah.
I need to express my undying love for the Netflix Castlevania series.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Express.
It's only 4 episodes. You can be done in like 95 minutes.
I don't want to be. I think that's what
neither do I. That's the issue.
Save it.
It was 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, man, I can't wait to. I gotta go to bed, but man, I can't wait to see how this ends. And then I like look, how many episodes are left? I'm like, oh, 1. Okay, I'll just finish it now.
Yeah.
That was me with Making a Murderer, except it was how many episodes are left? 10?
Oh.
All right.
I'm
going to feel real crappy
Here's
tomorrow.
A cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's going to change my worldview.
I've never had coffee.
You've never had coffee.
I sipped a mocha when I was like 14.
That's the weirdest thing. I cut out coffee about 4 months ago, and that's been good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. It's a girl.
I cut out. It's a what?
She said, it's a girl. You're like, congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, it's a girl.
I'm not a girl.
It was a joke about the way that you were congratulating me. It was like
I've cut out
I had
various
given
things
birth.
throughout my life, but other things I just never started.
Right.
Coffee, smoking. I cut out sody pop when I was like 13.
Sody pop.
Pop.
All right, we're getting off
Adult
track here.
entertainment.
We're getting off
Stop
track
that.
here,
It's
Ian.
the best.
Let's talk
All right.
about, what are we here to talk
Practical
about?
effects.
Politics?
Are we done
Practical
with-
politics.
We're certainly not talking about politics.
No, not at all. One of my it was my birthday yesterday. One of
Happy
my friends
birthday.
immediately. That's what I was just fishing for that. But I actually
Congratulations.
I felt great. Yeah. Because I was able to pull rank on one of my friends. He was like, "So, have you heard about?" And he immediately started with with everything that's
All the
going on.
stuff.
And I was like, "It is my birthday. Don't you dare!
Yeah.
Not now. No politics. Why I am eating paschetti.
I am eating
I am eating paschetti. So you put that away.
You've seen What We Do in the Shadows, obviously.
Yes, it's fantastic.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that
Probably
movie.
has some good
it gets
practical
better
effects
the
in it,
more
too.
you watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Also, awesome practical effects that are just so beautifully like obvious, like them on the wires and all that. It's
just
amazing.
floating around.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie that uses a lot of practical effects?
So when I immediately think of practical effects, I think of 1980s David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
That to me is the pinnacle. You cannot beat it for me.
Yeah.
Countless movies, like all of them in that era. You know, you mentioned The Fly and Scanners. The Brood is 79, but I'll count it in the 80s. You know, Videodrome, all those movies. And I use that as the benchmark and the staple is 80s sci-fi because, you know, Jones, we give him a hard time, famously loves Terminator 2 Judgment Day. One of, like, more than a lot of people out there, you know. Jones loves it, but we give him a hard time because he's like, oh, you know, some of the effects don't hold up. So we're like, you hate it. But, you know, you compare 90s or later CG when CG is, you know, CG ages. Yeah. And you compare those to that 80s science fiction or practical effects, and those hold up because they are real. They will always hold up and stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And you know, I think movies like The Fly are just a staple of that.
Yeah, there's a genuine feeling of terror when you see something that's real. Okay, your brain knows. I mean, if you look at any werewolf in any movie that's CG, the way that looks, you're just like, yeah, I know that that's scary intellectually. I get that I'm looking at a scary thing. But then when you watch American Werewolf in London and you see that actual thing, you feel genuine terror because you're like, that's real. That has weight. I can see that. It's almost like, I always think about it in terms of like, even with Spider-Man, when they would cut to him in the real suit versus the CG suit, the real suit always looked like it was in focus, and the CG suit always sort of had like a slickness to it that made you go, oh, okay, you were watching an animated thing, and you can't maybe point to it in side-by-side images, but when it's moving, your brain just knows. You're like, oh, all right, that's fake, and then this is, and I think even people that can't tell or wouldn't, aren't as nitpicky as maybe we are, like, you just don't feel it. You don't get that guttural, that instinctual primal reaction.
Valley, Well, and one of the big things with CG, and there's a comment specifically about this a little later on, but lighting is the hardest part, and I think that, one of the hard parts with CG, and I mean, just let's get it out of the way, like Phantom Menace or any of the prequel trilogies where the CG did not age well, like, you see it in theaters and you're like, and then you see it on video like 6 months later and you're like, whoa!
And
when
6
did we
years
ever
later,
buy
it's
that?
like,
Yeah, and like, there's a weird thing about that kind of CG where it seems like the gamma is too high, like it's too bright, like the brightness is wrong. You know what I mean? Like the contrast isn't deep enough, and it looks washed out compared to the rest of the world. And the movement, of course, is very strange and bizarre. I mean, that's why Jurassic Park, the CG, one of the early pioneers of like heavily used CG, I think that's one of the huge reasons that it looks so good is because they also had the animatronics.
Yeah.
When you
I'm kind of aping from this comment.
Well, it's
like James Cameron in
everything.
Terminator, like even Avatar, James Cameron is a fan of using both.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do that well, it really helps. Even Pan's Labyrinth, when we get into that, there is some cross of using both.
Almost all of it.
Yeah.
In Pan's Labyrinth.
Totally.
Is a mix.
I think with Jurassic Park, though, not to get, because that one I'm particularly like, it's perfect because they used everyone. I mean, everyone that like Phil Tippett and Dennis Muren and like all these people people that are like these titans of practical effects. They're all a part of it. They were doing, what was it, stop motion or go motion. He was working on that for the original. If they weren't going to use CG, they were going to use that for the dinosaurs and stuff. And just they used every aspect of it. And it's almost like when you do a first draft of anything, a first draft of a painting or whatever, there's so many more layers, there's so much more texture. To me, Jurassic Park, that whole movie is that first draft where they used every piece, And so it's not just the fact that it's like, yes, they were diligent about lighting, but like they were obsessing over it years prior. Like in the middle of production for Jurassic Park, Spielberg stopped and did Hook. And then went back to Jurassic. Like, they had that much time to prepare.
Right.
And, like, even before that, they were building animatronics for, like, the Universal ride and stuff. Like, before they even started the movie. Like, this is, like, an obsession on all levels for him and for that whole team. So, I mean, I'm still blown away every time I see it either in a theater on Blu-ray or whatever. I'm just like, it just looks amazing. But it's because they put so much thought into it. Now, you have like one guy working on like,
Right.
you have a team of people, but like they're not the experts of the experts that are working on these
Mirren
Marvel
still alive?
movies. Or I don't know. I hope so. Probably.
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Well, and because it was
He
the
texts
first.
you.
Hey,
He texts me. I'm fine.
buds.
It's
I'm
me,
up.
it's Dennis.
Well, and because do you
Yeah.
think that with Jurassic Park specifically, do you think since it was the first, not obviously the first, but like the first big use of CG on
was
this
it before
scale?
T2?
No.
No.
I feel like T2
T2 was way...
set the tone.
When did that come out?
Yeah.
90, I think.
Okay, Jurassic Park was 92 or
93.
93?
Okay.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was
T2's
93
90 or
for sure.
91.
Yeah.
Yeah, but T2's also got a whole different kind of like that slick thing was very easy for them
That's
to do.
easier
like
to
the
simulate,
Abyss has
yeah.
got that sort of like
Yeah,
the water
the
tendrils.
water.
Slick.
Yeah, well they could do because you can kind of distort it and we kind of go, oh yeah, that looks like Gumby or it looks like mercury. So we're like, whatever. But like to
Yeah.
make something that's real skin and bone and yeah, it's a whole other thing. We should really dip into these prawn.
Are you gonna try these prawns?
I don't know. We'll get to it.
You're gonna hate them.
Oh,
Save
they're
it
gonna
for
be
the
terrible.
end.
Save it for the
I'll say that'll be the finale.
Finale.
Something to
yeah.
look,
The tingly-
look forward to.
Tingly prawn
Yeah.
cocktail. Is this live? Are people watching this right now?
No,
Okay,
No.
because you guys love to do that.
we do.
Yeah.
We certainly do. I was live earlier today, but no, this is not live.
Pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded. You can cut out the part where I asked
Recorded
that.
earlier.
No, I'm gonna leave it in.
Yeah, I figured.
So in this show, just so you're not taken off guard, we have comments from the patrons that I sometimes like to roll in. A couple of them are a little long this month, but they're really good, and I pared them down a little bit. But Paul Henderson says the great
Paul
thing,
Henderson.
the great thing that is, he threw me way off with that.
Sorry.
No, it's alright.
Me and Paul go way back.
Yeah. The great thing is that practical effects were there right from the beginning in commercial film, like Georges Méliès.
I thought you were going to say George of the Jungle.
Yeah,
Brendan
George of
did
the
all
Jungle.
his own stunts.
Yeah, he did it all.
Mr. Frazier on that vine. Please go ahead.
Whatever, I'll just paraphrase. Camera tricks, like using edits to make, a rocket suddenly in the moon's eye, or, oh, this person is here, now they're there, or like, oh, they're a monster now, or, ooh, there are twins, but it's really just the frame cut in half and you can see the seams,
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff is still in use, or it still was in use. I mean, an easy example, in the 80s, in The Thing, when the thing like shoots out tendrils,
Yeah.
it's just backwards.
It's great.
They just pull them
It's
in.
so surreal looking.
You know?
Every time it's shocking. You're like,
It's-
whoa.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they speed it
Yeah,
up,
it's
and it's just
amazing.
like,
Whoa.
it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, how'd they do that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. But like,
Yeah.
because of the physicality, and I think later on, another patron, Imminent Jargon,
Imminent
said-
jargon.
Veteran.
Yeah. old imminent jargon. I love these names. Paul
Oh, it's
Henderson.
true.
What a creative name.
But as with this is Imminent Jargon, but as with trick editing, once those things become familiar, they lose their novelty, and in most cases are probably not considered part of the visual effects anymore. Maybe one of the fates of visual effects is that once they become successful, they lose their identity as special effects and just become part of the everyday toolbox of filmmaking. And it's like, I think that's totally true with jump cuts. Like, they used to call those trick edits, but now we call them jump cuts because they're just part of it.
I like trick edits.
Yeah, trick
It implies
edits.
we're like pulling something.
Well, and like, things have come kind of full circle with Vine, with
George of the Jungle.
George the Jungle, you'd swing on
Right.
vines. Look out for that tree. No, but with vines, the little 5 or 6 second videos, trick edits are kind of back. My old friend Chris Wen, who used to work for Game Trailers, you remember Chris?
Yeah, sort of. I remember this. Yes, I do.
He used to do vines for Disney, and he said that the trick ones were always the best, where simple stuff where you like throw a DVD of Mulan at the TV, and then you cut right when it hits, and then Mulan is playing on the TV. That's a trick edit.
People love
And
it.
people love it on Vine, and
Yeah.
so it's like tricks from the 1910s and 20s are, big on the internet now, and it's so
Yeah.
funny to me.
We're not complex creatures.
No, we are.
We
yeah.
love the same stuff.
History repeats itself.
Repeats itself.
Ah.
Can you think of other examples of like stuff like that where playing something backwards or doing a trick edit or just, I mean, people do this all the time, composite like twins together,
like we're doing right
Like
now.
we're doing right now.
Right, of course, yeah. It's really hard when we cross over. We have to rotoscope our fingers.
Yeah,
So,
it's a pain. I've done that. It's the worst.
Reversal. What is? There's so many examples, but now
I think
my
of
brain
like
is-
one-cut films that you know use
hide the edit.
transitions to hide the edit. I think of like Hitchcock and Rope.
I've got a really weird one. The scene where Rufio takes the sword and it like goes right to Pan's nose.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing's backed up. That's all reversed. Dante Bosco himself told me. I think that was me and Dante. No, I only met him like twice.
I met him once the other day, actually. On a
Did you?
Yeah, and
he's everywhere. He's like the god of LA.
He's also the nicest man.
Yes, he is, and
Who's
he's
Dante?
Very nice. Yeah, he looked exactly
Rufio?
the same.
Dante, yeah, he was
Rufio.
But that whole scene, he starts with the sword, and he had to back up, and then he says his line backwards.
Wow.
And I have
they ADR'd it?
Yeah, and so it's
Automatic
pretty cool.
dialogue replacement. That's when they loop the lines over and you say them in a room afterwards. It's not live audio, in case you didn't know what ADR meant.
There you go.
But
Filling them in.
yeah, filling you in.
Now you know.
I
But that's
think
a fun, weird one.
Yeah, this came up a lot of times where I think David Fincher is like the king of using CG in a way. I mean, this is the perfect example of things that have just become part of the filmmaker's toolkit and that you don't even notice anymore. Like, I mean, the famous one is that Zodiac, I think, has...
Prime example.
Or it's either Zodiac or Social Network has more effects shots in it than Godzilla.
Yeah,
Which
Zodiac.
Godzilla?
the new
Matthew Broderick one.
The new one.
Matthew Broderick one.
Matthew
That's
Broderick
the new
one.
one.
I know. I think it is funny when CG is used for not like explosions or,
Yeah.
or
Right.
action. You know, when you're using it just in a basic image.
Like Boardwalk Empire had that famous, like there was some
Yeah.
article that they released where like, look at all the stuff that you didn't even notice. It's like, yeah, that's a great
I
example.
mean, Game of Thrones is big on it. I mean,
Yeah.
the big example, and this will take us into talking about mixing practical and computer effects, and then we'll get into Pan's Labyrinth in that regard too. But Mad Max Fury Road is like the big recent example of that, where
Yeah.
pretty much every effect in that is practically shot. Obviously not the sandstorm maybe and stuff like that, but like, and then everything is just composited together. Compositing is when you basically rotoscope or cut out things and place them together in the frame, or remove things, and you can composite the sky out. They did that in almost every shot of that movie. The big explosion where Max is going past the camera and the truck is blowing up and there are all cars near it, you know, like, they're not gonna. The insurance company won't let you blow up a gas tanker with that many people close to it. So you shoot the tanker by itself, and then you composite everyone back in. So you just do the shot a couple of times.
Yeah.
And some of the solutions for doing stuff like that, I don't think they use this for that in Mad Max necessarily, but a lot of other things. I think Michel Gondry has done this before, where you have a robot camera that's timed to a specific camera move, so that it can be precise. And then you can have it repeat
Motion
itself.
control.
Yeah.
I like robot camera though.
Robot
Motion.
camera.
We call up robot camera.
Yeah.
Robot
Robot
camera.
And he goes,
I
"All
knew
right."
the film. Yeah.
I will shoot this shot.
Yeah.
There's a Kendrick Lamar video for a song, I can't remember the name, but
Who dat?
he's a rapper. But there's a shot where he's looking at the camera always, and it's like moving around him like this really quickly, and it just looks super cool. You should find it and check it out, figure it out.
Alright.
I don't know, just Google it. But yeah, I love that kind of mix of stuff because you don't notice the CG or the influence of computers because it's real things being put together.
Ex Machina did that pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's
one of-
just yeah.
One of my loves is Guillermo del Toro, and the reason I love him so much is because of the sets. You know, he builds so many of those sets, so it's, even if he's putting CG somewhere in there, you know, the set and everything is real. Like,
Yeah,
he's
you
so
feel
big.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the what is it, the Angel of Death with the wings and the eyes and all that stuff. It's like they actually built those wings to have moving eyes and stuff. It's like you get a sense of like fear, like genuine fear and genuine like awe, because you know it's real. You know it's an actual existing thing. You just don't. Your brain knows when it's fake. You just you don't feel it. But
Like Crimson
he's
Peak,
great at
my
that.
biggest letdown of Crimson Peak was using
CG
CG. I thought there were gonna be.
yeah.
I thought there was gonna be none, like zero.
Yeah, that was weird. I heard that too before seeing it, and then there just was.
It was just an
like,
overall
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah,
weird.
maybe
It was a bit of a weird experience.
I like it. I really like Crimson
Do you?
Peak. I liked it more the second time I saw it.
Oh, okay. I only saw it once.
Yeah.
But
That was enough for me.
Yeah, I think the CG did. There was a disconnect there.
There was
for
some
me.
cool. Was the ghost mom in the beginning thing?
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
a spoiler? Did I just spoil it? It was
toward the
whatever.
beginning.
Bathtub scene. And
Yeah.
My
some
favorite is the
freaky
red
stuff.
snow. Like the red, just the
Yeah.
imagery of that was so cool.
Yeah, there's some
The
really cool
hole,
stuff.
the hole in the ceiling
Yeah.
of the house.
Oh yeah.
It's a cool visual movie. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth does a really cool thing, mixing CG, and it has aged a little bit. You can see the CG, especially. I knew his name, and now I don't remember his name anymore.
Doug Jones.
Well, the guy with the hands and the
Pale
eye,
Man?
The
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
The pale
The
man.
Pale Man. That's right. I knew it was like the Faceless Man or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, obviously the eyes in his palms are CG. You know, but he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a man in a suit with CG tiny little legs.
Yeah.
Well, they're
They
not
did that
CG.
in that.
I think it's practical laid over a
Practical
suit.
laid
Yeah,
out, and then
yeah,
they
Which
they
is really
keyed
hilarious
out
looking.
his legs.
Yeah, yeah.
They did the same thing with Pan because his legs, the knees go the wrong way.
Yeah.
So his legs just go straight through the stilts, and then they just green screen out the bottom part of his legs. A lot of stuff like that with.
Much better than Mr. Tumnus. That
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
hold up. I'm just gonna
Did
throw
they
that
do
out
a
there.
weird effect with him too? I
Mr.
don't even
Tumnus
remember
has.
it.
My friend did this amazing impression of my friend Jim of what Mr. Tumnus looks like walking in that movie, and it's as goofy as you remember it
Well,
being.
go do
I'm
it.
just I can't do it because it's just like what? Because there's this disconnect between his body and his legs.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when he's walking through a scene, you're just like, it just has this really weird.
Yeah. They're like dancing all around, and he's
Yeah,
like,
he just doesn't. It's like the Scorpion King or something. Where there's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're
kind
just
of
like, there's this
floating.
visual disconnect where you're like,
Dude, The Rock's face in Scorpion King.
oh, it's perfect. That was the most. I
It
would
is like
say
the eyebrow.
the only thing better than the CG in Jurassic Park is the Scorpion King.
That's the
That movie at the time, people were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Even then, we were like, oh, okay.
I mean, movement is the hardest thing, and I was watching a featurette on Who Framed Roger Rabbit yesterday, and I can't remember his name now, but the head animator,
Glenn Keane? No.
maybe
Oh God, no. Okay,
very
anyway.
soft-spoken guy, but he was saying that the video showed an example of Cool World and how like
Jeez,
when
yeah.
the camera moved back. The like animation looked like it was kind of glued to the camera because it would like move with it and like float with it, and it looked really not good.
Yeah.
Whereas in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they filmed it like a movie,
Yeah.
and the camera's going all over the place, and they painstakingly by hand. There was no motion capture software or motion tracking software. They painstakingly by hand just did it right.
Yeah.
And like the
It's
guy,
crazy.
the guy said. The rule of thumb is don't move the camera for stuff like this because people are lazy. That's it. That's the only reason, because it's just hard.
It's
And it's like-
extremely hard.
No,
though.
it's like
when they move the
very
camera through a
hard.
scene, having a character that's
Oh,
2D
yeah.
rotate.
Yeah.
It's gonna drive me crazy with the name of that animator. Is it? Oh my God! It's the guy that animated the genie. The guy that kind of talks like this.
Yeah, he
Was
talks
it?
like that. Well, you think
It'll
of
come.
it.
It'll come.
It'll
to me.
come.
It will probably won't.
I want to bring up Lord of the Rings and Hobbit really quick before
Yeah.
we get back to Pan.
Please.
Yes,
do.
please do.
I'll go to
Lord of the
war on
Rings,
that.
Fellowship is
Oh, it's a perfect
top
movie.
5 of all time.
Yeah.
Flawless
It's
masterpiece.
Flawless.
Um,
Although Elise apparently disagrees. Elise.
She likes Two Towers.
She, likes
She loves
Two
that
Towers.
battle, I know,
love Two
for sure.
Towers, but I'm like, the first one's a perfect
Fellowship,
film.
Gandalf the Grey. Sorry,
Oh,
that's
it's
it.
just-
Shut everyone down.
Gandalf the Grey
Gandalf
is
the
the-
Grey.
yeah.
Just,
That's the argument.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And
Nothing
off the-
more needs to be said.
Yeah.
They're all 10s though. It doesn't matter. It's all one movie to me. But I compare that to The Hobbit.
Like
you know,
Twin Peaks season 3.
it's all one.
It's all one show.
So The Hobbit, love or hate it, whatever. It's not a terrible movie, but you can't hold it.
It's
up.
certainly not a good movie.
I like the second one. Anyway,
That's the only one I saw in theaters.
yeah.
I don't want to lambast on its quality. I do want to talk about the orcs and all of that being CG in The Hobbit
Yeah.
versus people in suits and practical effects of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me. You again going back to like the older movies are looking better than newer movies.
Right.
You go back to Lord of the Rings. It's in early 2000s,
Yeah.
and it looks visually better
Yeah.
than The Hobbit, which had more money thrown at it. It's a newer movie. It has newer technology,
Right.
but it looks worse.
And like what's really egregious about that is that it's within the same canon, within the same universe. They made a visual change like that. seemingly unmotivated by, I don't know why they made that choice.
That
Peter Jackson
was plagued
unhinged.
with.
Yeah.
But it was
Unhinged.
like they had no time to make that movie. Like
For
Guillermo del Toro
sure.
was
Guillermo
up,
bounced,
and then so
yeah.
they only had like
And they had
there's
like
a
no
really,
script half the time,
They were
right?
arguing
Yeah, they
with
were
like the Tolkien estate
yeah.
for the rights to it. Like
That's it was plagued by
sure.
yeah.
that. I'm glad you said that because another thing I want to talk about is Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. Everyone talks shit on Dark Knight Rises,
'Cause it's
but
bad.
Heath Ledger
I
passed
don't-
away. What are you
I
gonna
don't
do?
know.
You know,
That's true. You do
Right.
have
Like-
nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
like you're
You got to follow up.
your main villain of the second movie that survived and was clearly supposed to be in the third movie
Right. Yeah.
passed away, and you had to completely change everything. And anyway, the I think of Dark Knight Rises the beginning, the plane. You know, he actually did that.
crazy.
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
held a giant plane like above the rocks, wherever he was in the mountains,
Yeah.
and they actually filmed that.
They just like flew a plane hanging from another plane or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
nuts.
in Inception, they built the room
Yeah.
where they
Rotate
have that
the room.
fight. God.
It's you feel that's I keep saying it, but like you feel it when it's real. Like I remember I saw when I saw Lord of the Rings in the theater with my dad. When that first Urukai shows up and he's like, "Whom do you serve?" He's like, "Saruman." My dad like grabbed my shoulder and he like turned to me. He was like, "That's the scariest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And then afterwards, for years, he wouldn't stop talking about it. He's like, when that first orc, like that really messed him up
Yeah.
because there's a texture, there's a feeling, there's a presence to that guy. Like he's
Yeah.
clearly
The guy
a
who
big,
just-
scary
who got
guy.
birthed, that
The guy that he like pulls
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah,
placenta
the
and then puts his
placenta.
hand
Yeah,
on his
yeah.
face or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's a freaky looking dude.
You feel that though. He's got a genuinely. I mean, it comes down to I think the way humans are built. We're afraid of primal looking things. We have a primal fear of things that can kill us, like lions and stuff. You know, I mean, that's designed to look that way. But we also know that presence is like that thing could destroy me.
Yeah.
Which comes back to the the American Werewolf in London. You see that and you go, that's real. I could see
Yeah.
the fur. I could see the weight of it, the texture of it.
The fly coming out of the pod.
yeah.
It was
Nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
Nightmares. And then you think of, I swear there's like, is the Fly 2 CG? Maybe.
I never saw the
Well, there's
fly, too.
anything that has a real tech. What was it? Naked Lunch. Which,
Oh, God.
Well, everything about
Naked
that
Lunch
is
is so
horrifying.
unsettling.
Yeah, well, because you know it's real. You're watching them do those real horrible things. Which, although I when I was given that movie to watch, Justin had borrowed your DVD.
Yeah,
our friend Justin,
yeah.
you know Justin, former editor of Game Trailers.
Yeah.
He was just like, here, watch this, and so I was like, all right, sure.
Cronenberg.
And so I sat down, and the whole time I was like, "Oh God, oh God!" But I couldn't look away. I needed to know how this whole thing. I've never felt so quite texturally like
Dirty.
bombarded and dirty.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
Just
like, I wish I had
insect
never seen it.
typewriters and like weird orifices, like
Just
people just
so
like
much.
putting their mouths on
Yeah.
stuff.
On
and
everything.
It's like
You
what
put
is
their mouth
happening?
on everything. On everything.
And it's all real. It's all there. That
Yep.
actor is putting his mouth on
on
that
all
thing.
that real stuff. It's like, it's like a horrifying.
Sticking his fingers in that weird hole.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
So
Even
many.
Existence. Very weird movie.
Don't know
but
what that
decent.
is.
It's another Cronenberg movie.
I don't need to see it after Naked Lunch. I'm good.
good.
I'm full.
Existence is
More
you would like it.
relevant
It's about
now
it's
than
about VR basically, but
Oh.
like bio VR,
Oh wait, yeah. I
has,
did
like,
try. I watched
bone
some
gun.
of that. Yeah.
Bone gun.
bone gun,
Love the bone.
Yeah.
practical,
Yeah.
bone gun,
Bonegun.com.
I wonder where that bone gun is now.
bonegun.com.
Be there.
Somebody's got to have that bone gun.
The
Like,
prop.
as a prop.
Yeah, somebody's got it.
somewhere. Go check the RPF.
Jude
Replica,
Law.
something I check way more than I should. The
I
replica
never knew
prop
that they
form.
didn't have. I learned this in researching for this episode. I didn't know that they don't have the Death Star. So for Rogue One, they had to CG the Death Star.
Well, they weren't gonna like pull out the old Death Star.
They don't
thing.
have it.
Well, so there is.
ILM doesn't have. Some
That's-
private collector has.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That I knew. Yeah. Some dude just is like, well,
He's
I
like,
found it
nah.
in a trash can.
Right,
Like that's
because
the
they
story.
threw it all away. They were
Yeah.
like, nah, whatever.
Well, to them, they're like, it's a bunch of model parts and
a bunch of
garbage.
Yeah, like actual garbage.
Yeah, every story you hear about the production of Star Wars, they're like, this is crap. This is going to
Yeah.
be a bad movie. They're
Yeah.
just burning stuff and throwing it out. And, like, you get, like, the one or two rogue person, no pun intended. But that comes in as like, I thought it was going to be great. I knew it was going to be hit. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
Yeah, you
you
didn't
be quiet, you prop
You,
maker,
yeah.
you. But, they just burned. They're like, screw it. So it's a miracle we have anything from that movie because they thought it was going to be a nightmare. They thought it was going to be garbage. But even for Alien and, like, there's a couple other sci-fi movies. They just give that stuff away. There was a guy who...
You know
like,
who did pass away was Stan Winston. That's the most depressing.
When? Recently?
I think so.
Oh,
right?
yeah. It was like... But wasn't it like a year ago?
I think a little while ago.
Yeah.
You bring up Alien, that's why.
No. Yeah. This is true.
I mean, Alien is a great one.
Yeah.
Man in a costume, man.
The Rubber Man.
Very effective.
He's
It's
a rubber
real.
man.
He's a
You
rubber
can't beat him.
man with rubber. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Is Alien to we've
Alien
shared
Covenant.
our thoughts on Covenant.
I didn't even bother.
Festering pile of garbage.
Like when
Wow.
those
Oh my God.
CG creatures come out,
no
you
presence.
lost me.
No weight.
You lost.
Well,
me.
that's. I mean, Prometheus. There's a weird balance there where like some of the guys were real.
Yeah.
They had that makeup, and so you're kind of like
Yeah,
a
the
little thrown
engineer,
off.
I
Yeah, you
felt
felt
that.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like them, but I still felt there was something there. But like the whole alien thing, those need to be real because you
Yeah.
feel it again. Comes down to the primal thing is you feel it when you see it on screen. You go, that thing can destroy me.
Yeah.
But when you see it CG, you know it's fake, and you just you shut down.
Yeah.
I've never been frightened by something that I don't know, that I knew was a cartoon.
Yeah.
Although
Right.
real cartoons, it's different. If
Terrifying.
you're watching like a cartoon where it's a cartoon through and through,
Yeah.
like there's some moments in like Adventure Time where I was like, Jesus, you know.
The Lich King or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and
ah.
there's one where, what is it, where they like, it's one of the earlier episodes where they're like they're like trying to get inside a cube or something ridiculous, and this thing turns out to be, it starts off pretty, and then it's like, I'm an angel, and turns out to be scary, like, completely murdered me. But the
Yeah.
whole world itself is a cartoon, so I
Right.
was already in that mindset.
You're in that context.
Anyway, that's totally unrelated, but yeah.
Space Jam.
Space. Jam.
Exactly. Terrified of Michael Jordan. He's all CG in that movie. Space Jam.
A patron, Brittany Fuller, said.
Brittany
something
Fuller.
that
Me and Brittany
every time with
have
this.
a long history together. Back when I was in the war. Please, no, go ahead. Me and Brittany.
Anyway, she just said that you got to use the right tool for the job, and then like. CG,
She's always saying that.
CG or practical. Yeah, I know you, guys
it's
go way
not
back.
the
We
right
go
tool.
way back. We fought in the trenches of.
But CG or practical can be bad or good. depending
Right
on
tool
who's
for the
using
job. I think of Wonder Woman.
I wasn't actually listening because I was thinking
I
about
know.
what I just said.
Shut
What
up.
did she say?
It. It doesn't matter. What are you saying about Wonder Woman?
I was saying they did not use the right tool for the job at the end. The battle with
Whoa, spoiler.
Ares.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it yet.
It's great. You should
Is it
see
true that they live on an island called Mascara?
It's
Themyscira.
Themyscira.
Okay, because someone said mascara, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
come on.
The whole time in the movie, it sounds like she's saying the mascara.
Okay, all right.
But it's Themyscira or Temescira.
I like.
It's spelled
okay.
like T-H-E Miskira.
The mascara.
The mascara.
Okay,
They
Anyway,
live
it
on,
was-
they're the Volvolini, and they live on.
It was World War
the
Well,
One.
their name is the
and-
Volvolini.
No, that's from Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
The many mothers are also called the Volvolini.
Oh, that sounds like a delicious pasta dish with
does.
perhaps a little bit of like reproductive organ on the side.
Vagina, yeah.
Anyway,
I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say
Here,
it's
what's up?
World War One.
Yeah, you were saying something intelligent.
World War One, and then it gets all weird
Yeah.
CG everywhere, flying around. That was the only part of the movie I didn't
okay.
like.
The only
And it
movie
was
that's
heavy.
done-
I
It
haven't
was a
seen
heavy.
it yet.
It was a heavy
Yeah.
CG part, and it was legit the only part that was not a 10 out of 10 for
Right.
me with Wonder Woman because
The only movie that's done a CG floating around mind battle well is Dark City,
Dark.
and I'll stand by it.
I haven't. I watched half of Dark City recently, and I was like, I'll get back to you. And then
Dude, you'd like Dark City.
That's
It's
what I've
right up
heard.
your
People are
alley.
like,
You
Oh,
haven't seen Dark City,
Oh my God,
Dark
I know.
City's like
What?
Dark City's like AJ the movie.
Really?
Oh yeah.
All right,
It's
fine.
like Art Deco,
Dude!
20s, 40s.
I forget. I was in like a weird mood, and I put it on, and I was like, yeah, I'll get back. I put a bookmark in it. I'll.
Kiefer
One of
Sutherland is
the
doing some weird
greats.
voice this whole movie.
Wait, what?
Kiefer Sutherland talks like a weirdo that entire
Yeah,
movie.
he does.
He's like, we gotta find out what's going on.
It's weird.
They can tune.
Is he the main guy?
No, Rufus Sewell is the
Yeah.
main.
Ah, Rufus Sewell, another old friend.
Generally,
of mine.
yeah, generally plays a bad guy. You recognize Rufus Sewell,
Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle.
No.
He's the bad guy in the Night movie with Heath Ledger. The
Black
hell's
Knight.
that one called?
Black
no,
Knight
no,
with,
not Dark Knight.
30 Days of Night.
No, damn it.
No, it
Or he's
comes
a-
at night.
No, or he's a knight. Like,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
A Knight's
A
Tale.
Knight's
A Knight's Tale.
Yeah, he is
Thank
in that.
you.
He is in that for
He's
sure.
in that.
Nice,
He's the bad
nice,
like
nice.
Prince guy.
Yeah.
Rufus Sewell, love
Yeah.
him.
Rufus Sewell.
Classic.
You know who doesn't get enough stuff? The bad guy in the mask, Dorian in the
Oh,
mask.
Dorian.
There's
always
time
for one last kiss.
He had his time in the 90s, dude.
Oh,
was
he
huge.
needs more.
He
That
was
guy
in-
needs
he
more.
was in,
My
like,
brother,
every episode of
my
Wonder Woman.
brother saw him. My brother works in a movie theater in New Jersey, or I think maybe in New York, and saw him and stopped him and was like,
You don't know?
no, I mean, I actually have no idea where my brother lives.
Do you have a brother?
I do.
You're
I've
not
made
sure.
him up.
Yeah.
But he saw him in a movie theater and stopped him, was like, I love you in The Mask. And apparently he was very sweet. And he was like, oh, thank you, nobody recognizes me. And I'm like, oh, that poor sweet guy.
Usual Suspects.
He's in that.
He's in that.
He's in
Good.
that. Yeah,
He like throws the cigarette
Yeah, he throws
at
the
Baldwin.
cigarette.
It's amazing.
I love him. I love
God,
him. That
Usual
scene
Suspects is great.
in The Mask, though, I'm bringing it back to me, where he hits the golf thing out of his mouth.
Oh yeah, and a little bit of blood.
Oh,
Love it.
It gets me every time.
Freaky.
Practical effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
wanna talk about
no
another-
CG golf clubs in that.
Another thing I love, my favorite thing is, intimate kills, feeling the kill.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Practical effects,
Speed.
when we're talking about
Newspaper.
small scale practical effects like murder, like Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Halloween,
Yeah.
horror movie practical effects.
Yeah.
You again, we always talk about the practical effects are real.
Right.
And when, Jason Voorhees comes up and stabs someone in the chest,
Thank you for the example.
you
Stabs if you getting out all
yeah.
your feelings towards me.
versus, some modern horror movies that go CG. And when you're CGIing blood,
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
when
yeah.
people are getting shot, just, mowing people down Call of Duty style, and the bullet holes are CG and blood
Yeah,
spraying,
yeah.
I'm so out of it.
Yeah.
Versus Die Hard, no more table, that guy in Die Hard comes
yeah.
running in,
Shoots
blood
his
packets
Freaking
going off,
Squibs.
and the squibs,
Which they can't
exactly.
use as much anymore now.
And
There's like
you-
a whole thing where you can't use squibs, or I'm not sure what the exact
Yeah.
details are on that, but like,
Yeah, the regulations.
Have you
Yeah,
ever seen the
that's way
movie
stricter.
FX?
no.
Dude, there's FX and FX2, and it's about like a practical effects guy like working in the biz, but it's like an action movie. It's like very.
What an interesting.
I had
like,
it on VHS.
Wow.
Weird movie. FX. I think it's F/X.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would have to.
I have no
Anyway.
reaction to that. Other than I enjoyed watching you talk
I've
about it.
forgotten everything I was going to
FX.
say.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But when you shoot people,
What
with
was the
squibs,
intimate kills? That was an interesting.
Yeah.
Intimate
you
kills.
like the slow insert of a
slow.
knife.
with video
Yeah.
games and movies and
Psycho.
that is all like
See the
Zodiac.
knife go in just a little bit in one of the cuts.
I think of
Just
Pans
enough.
of Pans when she cuts the captain's
oh
mouth.
yeah.
It's nuts.
Which is a mix of makeup and CG.
for sure.
Yeah.
And the bottle, like smashing that dude's face.
The
Good
ball
lord.
smash.
I mean, that's CG, I
Yeah,
think. But
you
like,
feel it.
yeah.
Anytime was it the whole? You're talking about not the part where he steps on the guy's head, right? That
There's a
whole
part
thing-
where he like takes a bottle and just goes, ksh, 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 and
Yeah,
you just
over
watch
and
him
over.
smash his
Oh.
face in, and it's really upsetting.
Yeah, the guy whose head gets crushed in that movie, you see most of it.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, it's like someone like just took a cherry pie and is punching
Yeah.
it. You're like,
It is a
ah.
violent
Very violent
film.
movie. I thought that movie was going to be just a slight tangent. I saw the trailer and I went,
No,
oh, it's going to be
same.
delightful. It's going to
Same.
be like this
Same.
dark Alice in Wonderland.
I thought the whole
And
movie was going to
Same.
be.
I thought it was going to be one big fantasy
a
movie.
war
I
movie.
was
In fact,
yeah.
I think that this is now what this episode's about. We could probably do an episode about this, but bad trailers. But like,
Yeah.
the
It
trailer,
brought me in.
the trailer for that movie brought me in. I was very excited, and then because of the trailer and my expectations coming in that it was going to be this fairy tale
Yeah.
exclusively, I was disappointed by how
whoa.
realistic it was.
Yeah, I had
It
the
caught-
same thing.
I was the other way. It caught me off guard, and I came out like, "Whoa! All that war stuff was really good." Like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
I
See,
didn't
I was like,
expect that.
I was like,
Christopher Lloyd.
I don't care about that, so I just want crazy fantasy stuff.
Yeah, see, I had the same. I left kind of like angry, and
Yeah.
the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. But like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
left like,
I like it
wait,
now.
you lied to me.
You were
Right.
led there on false pretenses.
Right.
Yes,
It's like when I saw the
exactly.
movie Cyrus with what's his name and
Billy Ray.
what's his name?
I saw Billy Ray at
Miley.
4th of July. He was there.
I'm gonna get a dead on.
Fourth-
if you keep
there's
track
gonna be
of it. No, I love it.
4th
I don't
of
get to
July
physically
Dodgers
connect with
game. Billy Ray Cyrus
just there.
He was there. He was
I don't
singing.
think a single
you. Oh, singing. He wasn't just like
story
sitting
in this episode has been completed.
I-
there. No, and it never will be.
It never
Let's
will
get
be.
back to Billy Ray Cyrus and then
All right.
derail. Are we talking about practical effects? Boy, I would hate to listen to this podcast.
We gotta talk about
I
Pan's
can't wait to
Labyrinth.
learn
talked
about
a lot
practical
of good-
effects, and then we're talking about Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah. We brought up a lot of good movies about practical effects, though. We're
This is
touching.
true.
We're
Oh,
touching
we're
a
Billy
lot.
Ray
of,
Cyrus is one of my favorite practical effects.
we're on quantity right now versus quality.
Samuel El Mohammed was the person
Whoa.
who talked about Jurassic Park having great CG because
There
they
we
had
go.
the practical models in the lighting to model them after.
There it is.
Do you guys think practical effects are often lauded as being superior to CG in every way. Do you guys think that's
Wait,
true?
is Samuel
For me,
Elmo?
yes.
No, I'm asking this now.
Was that a whole name?
Samuel
For me,
El Mohammed.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say this is just my brain. Samuel Elmo Jackson, and I thought that's really funny.
For me, 100% Ian.
But it's
For me,
someone's real
it's-
name, and I should probably move on. You can cut this part out.
It's nothing.
I'm sorry,
Nothing gets
Samuel
cut out.
Elmo.
Ian just throws it in. Whatever
Throw
you
it up.
say.
There it is.
You
It's
watch-
out there now. I
It's out there.
apologize.
You gotta watch.
But
what
that's where I
say
thought you were
around
going, and
it's
now I'm
going
just
in.
a little disappointed. I'm gonna truncate his name now to now have an Elmo joke in there.
No, Ian.
Plus Jackson.
Practical
This is just
effects.
AJ, by the way. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
what
this is just how my brain works.
Me too.
We love you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They won't.
What was the question?
No,
No, they're gonna hate
They
me,
will.
especially Samuel El Mohammed.
Samuel Townsend.
I got it right this time.
Anyway, yeah, Huber, what's
Sorry.
up?
Practical effects for me are superior. My favorite moment in my favorite film of all time will always be the Queen Alien in Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All that goo.
there's no BS. There's no fake shit in there. There's no CG to ruin it. She is in that chamber. There are eggs everywhere. She's
Yeah.
got the big gun.
You feel every aspect of that.
You are
Yeah.
you are in that moment with Ripley and Newt, and you know that there was something I wanted to ask earlier before we derailed.
Which time?
the whole
One
yeah.
of
Which,
them-
yeah, which one?
But there's something I wanted to bring up is times when CG is good, and times that it does help. And I think you brought up David Fincher. That is a time when you don't
Yeah.
even realize CG is
Yeah.
there.
There are
or
times-
like
there are
Jurassic
so
Park
many
when
times,
you're combining
yeah.
it.
When it's not a showcase, I think it's or like when it's not bringing attention to itself so
Yes.
much. But like I think that's the problem with to me practical almost always wins out because
Yeah.
you're more clever, you get more creative shots. There's a difference between it's like to me a lot of CG problems is you go, wouldn't it be cool if and then you do
You
that
throw it in.
exactly. Yeah, and then instead of going, well, I need to think of this in a little more, add some layer to it.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of movies are, in my opinion, I think there's more depth to them. There's like you get a more clever and more intimate experience
You
when
have
you
to
have a lot
think
more.
more.
Yeah, and so you get like the third or fourth idea because you weren't able to just poop out the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That movie.
I don't think
was,
anybody does.
Yeah, there's one part where
saw that one.
at the end with Gwen. Spoiler: Gwen dies. Yeah, if you don't know that, you don't know Spider-Man. But the part where he like goes to reach out and grab her. And the web comes out and the web turns into a hand to reach out, and I was like, that is the most tasteless.
It's
like,
pretty ridiculous.
First, someone in that room went, "Oh, I've got this idea. What if the web reaches out? It looks like a hand." And they went, "Just do that." Instead of having a thing that actually felt emotionally impactful, they went for like the visual CG thing, and it just
Yeah.
completely ruins that whole thing. Also, one of the most gruesome deaths I think I've ever seen in a superhero movie is her head hitting that ground.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Me and my Erica,
I'm
my
watching
girlfriend.
that when I get
Well,
home.
and
It's
it
gruesome.
like snaps
it
her neck.
snaps, and there's just this moment where you hear it and it like echoes, and it's
He
so
stops her, like,
gruesome.
right before the ground, and like the impact of being stopped.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good practical
whips
effect.
her head.
It's a really
Snaps her neck into the ground.
yeah. You feel like
It's
we both
intense.
sort of stood up on the couch and went, "Whoa!" because you feel that
Yeah,
whole
it's
thing.
really intense.
But hey, well, sorry, I was
no,
just saying
but I
that's
mean-
an
No, that was
example of
good.
something where it's like
Yeah.
this is a first draft idea.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
just
and
too crazy.
What you're saying, I think, too, is constraint is a huge.
Yeah.
Like I've always been a huge proponent of what is the famous saying, like necessity is the mother of invention or whatever, where it's like if you don't have all the resources. I mean, the easy punching bag on this is George Lucas, where it's like, look at the early Star Wars films where they had constraint, they didn't have all the money in the universe, especially for A New Hope, and you get these practical effects, you get creative thinking, you get creative problem solving, and a lot of times that does happen in a practical effects type setting where, yeah, hey, we don't have unlimited resources, we have this much money to do this.
Jaws
Jaws, exactly.
is the primary, like,
Yeah.
you have a great film. I mean, that is the example. If you
Yeah.
And there's so many times if you watch, I mean, I watch special features obsessively.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Where it's like, wow, how did they think of that? And it's like, well, the thing broke or whatever
Right,
it was.
yeah, we're
And that
forced
happens
to-
so many times where it's like, oh, we had to think of something more clever. Like
Our movie got better because
Yeah.
we couldn't do it the way we wanted to do
It's
it. Like
awesome.
that's the thing that people don't realize is like real genius sometimes I think yes is like some directors and some creators and some authors and all this auteurs and everything have great ideas out of the box, but there are two maybe kinds of genius when it comes to filmmaking, and like those that come in, know everything they want and then do it, and then those who can roll with it, take this situation and fix it and make it good. Take a problem
Who's
and turn it into
someone
genius.
That does that first one though, other than like.
Hitchcock planned out a lot of his movies ahead of
okay.
time.
Oh my God, Guillermo
there's
del Toro is
Guillermo del Toro.
insanely meticulous with every aspect of the film, the costumes, the set design, the creatures, and about showing constraint. Like the practical effects help that because you're building these things before, and like you're saying about just CG and like. When you throw a bunch of money at CG, I feel like maybe you commit yourself too, because it's so expensive. So if you're working on these CG scenes and just like dumping money into it, maybe you can't really pivot out. You kind of like lock yourself into it. I wonder how many times that's happened with movies where they just like make these big CG parts or action scenes and they're like, well, this is it. Like,
and
that's all we got.
I do think that having too much money sometimes is a crutch that people lean on. Like, you just throw money at it. And let's talk about The Fountain, because it's one of my favorite practical visual effects, I think maybe ever, is they took kind of macro photography, cloud tank photography, shots of things in petri dishes, chemical reactions at a microscopic level with macro photography, and used them as giant space cosmic scale nebulae and stuff like that. And like Darren Aronofsky apparently had to like fight the studio and be like, no, I want to do it without CG as much as possible. I want to do this and that. I mean, there's compositing everywhere, you know, but I'm talking about like not having a nebula that's made by a computer, but having practical, just like particles of chili powder falling down through the sky in the water, you know, but it looks crazy because you've zoomed in on it. And I think I read a thing the other day, you know, because CG shots can cost millions of dollars, and I think the practical effects that I think his name is Parks or something like that, and his son, they had this technology they used for this movie, for The Fountain, Parks. It cost like $140,000.
Surprised it cost that much. Just throwing some chili flakes
back in
and
the
some
day,
water.
there was this transition, you know.
I think that might be for all the visual effects. I'm not totally positive, but like,
I would love to see.
It was cheaper by far.
I would love to see some hard numbers, because there was a time when CG began to take over in like the mid to late 2000s, or like really middle 2000s, when it just was dominating, and practical effects were like felt like they were extinct.
Right.
And I remember just researching about it and seeing industry people say, it's more expensive than CG. Like, practical effects are more expensive and harder to do.
I think about this a lot.
I wonder if that's still the case, because everyone always talks about how expensive CG is.
Yeah, I know. I think about this a lot, yeah.
It's case by case, I honestly think. And I mean, like, I really, really love CG as well. Like, I'm not one of those people that are like practical or die, Like, I think that both are very genius tools when well implemented. I mean, David Fincher stuff, like, there are things that are composited or CG. All of his blood is CG. The blood, even when he's washing the blood off himself in Dragon Tattoo in the shower, that's all CG, because he wants to do a bunch of takes and doesn't have to worry about blood continuity.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what? It looks amazing. And like, CG can cost more if you have a lot of simulation, I think, a lot of different things, if you have to work on the lighting a lot. But like, if it's done well and you don't notice it, it's perfect. And the same is true with practical effects.
That's the problem, though,
right.
Is
That's
if you
the problem.
don't notice it, most of us are going, I mean, most people I think now are kind of numb to it, but we've been barraged with things like Catwoman or Scorpion King for so many years, where it's like, you're so aware of it. But
especially the newer generation growing up now that haven't seen any movies from the 80s or something, that's not a really crazy thing to think, is a lot of people out there have never seen a movie pre like 90 or like teenagers nowadays. Who knows?
There are people that have been born in the 2000s.
Teenagers nowadays.
What's a Goonie?
They haven't seen these movies.
That's terrifying.
But
I saw a comment on something that we did the other day that said there were like someone was born in 2003 or whatever. And I'm like, I graduated high school in 2003.
Yeah, for all we know, they've never seen like a 80s
I'm older than you.
sci-fi.
I know you are, and I like to lord that over you.
No, but and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that it's really fun to go back. I mean, a cherished memory of mine is when we went to Was it the Egyptian? No, it was the Chinese, I think, to see Lawrence of the
No, it was the Egyptian. Yeah.
We went to the Egyptian. I'd never seen Lawrence of Arabia, so my first experience watching Lawrence of Arabia was on 70mm at the Egyptian.
10 out of 10.
My
Experience.
God,
My God.
Yeah.
that movie.
You can't. Your brain can't handle. The funny thing is. I mean, I've seen the movie multiple times in a theater.
Yeah.
And every time they cut to the desert, I'm thinking, well, that's CG. And it's so funny that that's the first instinct, and I have to stop and remind myself it's not. There was even a shot where they're tilting down a building, and I was like, oh, the top of that's CG, and I'm like, it's not CG.
It's
AJ.
not.
It's
Kubrick
not
does
CG.
the Spartacus shot. Like, he doesn't really count it. Anyway, I don't want to get into Kubrick, Spartacus, whatever. It's his movie. It's not his movie. Kirk Douglas, whatever. But there's this shot where two people are talking on a balcony, and the entire like Roman army is like going through
Crazy,
the back of the. And I'm just like,
It's all
CG.
real.
It's
It's all real.
It's all
we
real.
can't handle it now
They
because.
hired 2,000 people.
Yeah. Well, all the desert battles and stuff in Lawrence of Arabia, you're that is many hundreds of people all running down a desert. I mean, it's not just the visuals, but the actual
battles.
numbers is crazy. I mean,
But I
and
mean,
you compare like Braveheart, that battle, to Return of the King, zombie army rolling in.
right.
well, that's a whole other
That's a
thing.
whole other thing.
But here's the
they
thing,
did some
though.
amazing stuff with Lord of the Rings, regardless. But yeah,
But here's the thing, like Gone with the Wind, the cast of thousands, the six scene where they're like have the thousands of people. Half of those are dummies, though. You know,
but
so
still,
like,
it's real.
But it's real, and
Yeah.
that's my point that I'm coming to now is that back then they were using tricks the same way we use tricks now. Like our tricks are okay. Here are the Dinkelvoss twins or whatever the hell they're called from Social Network. It's one actor.
Yeah.
Two actual bodies in the rowing scene, but they just superimpose his face on the other guy, and it looks totally perfect. You don't notice it, and like. Pretty much every movie you see, they're going to composite a building out or like change the sky or do this or that. I mean, Boardwalk Empire, entire coastlines of buildings, you know. It's great for period pieces. I think it's great for doing that kind of stuff. You can get a bigger scale with a more accurate image of a city, like Zodiac and everything, like showing the time period buildings and stuff that aren't there anymore.
Oh my God!
Instead of having to,
when they're building that.
when they're building that, yeah.
I love that
and
scene.
like things like that are amazing. So like when you do it right in either camp,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. When you do it wrong in either camp, it's terrible. I mean,
we're
like
not in a time of restraint and
No.
class right now when it comes to movies. We're not just like. I mean, I think there was a certain amount of like you put on a business suit and a certain amount of like showing up back in the 50s and 60s, you know.
Yeah.
So things felt a different way. There was sort of an adherence to formula and an adherence to like things need to be sort of, you need to pay your respect to story structure on every level of the process. I mean, obviously there were ones that were not made that way, but like I think it was a little more ingrained in the culture. Now I think people are just like, it's got to be a ride. It's got to be a theme park ride. So they're just throwing everything they can out there. So there isn't a lot of, I mean, there's an incredible amount of craft and talented people, but like it's more just about can we make it to the finish line with the most amount of stuff and craziness. But that's not the case with everything.
But to me, that's like two different types of movies, and that's why I love, I get made fun of for just loving so many movies and so many games, because it's like this, you're working on this spectrum and this scale, and it's like, I will prefer practical effects and real intimate kills and all that, but at the same time,
you love those intimate kills.
he loves
creepy.
Love intimate kills.
You're so happy that's your release. Real slow kills. Ugh.
Love Jason Voorhees. At the same time, when I went to see Transformers 5 in the IMAX,
you saw that?
yeah, it's not a good movie.
Right.
But wow, did I have a good time on that roller coaster ride?
Right. I didn't see it, but
that is the most CG you can go is Transformers to me. I mean, they're just throwing
it's
200.
a cartoon basically.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf in there?
This one,
No.
they make fun
Mark
of him.
Wahlberg. Well, that's the thing is like we live in an age right now where the volume is high enough, the quantity is high enough that there are a lot of movies like Transformers and this and that are just kind of. I mean, I don't want to sell short the work anyone's doing on these movies, but like kind of pumped out, like, and then, whereas back in the studio era, they literally pumped them out, but there's a perception of quality being higher.
Yeah.
I think it's in part, like
there's a lot we forget though.
yeah,
I mean,
golden
that's kind
oldies,
of
like you only the wheat separates or whatever, the cream rises, whatever the saying is, but like. The good ones are the ones you remember. So I think it's probably the ratio is similar. But we live in a time where there's so much that directors and filmmakers that make choices, interesting, daring choices. Like, I mean, Wes Anderson, like Grand Budapest Hotel, like doing really weird miniatures and stuff, or like
Obsessed with
Swiss
that
Army
movie.
Man doing like weird stuff like that.
That's a great one for weird,
but
just
like
practical stuff. Yeah.
You can differentiate yourself by being, or even The Fountain. You know, it doesn't have to be bizarre. It just has to be a choice. And like, I think that the
movie's
interesting
bizarre.
thing. I mean, it is. But like, making that choice is such a cool thing because now it can separate you by making the choice, for example, to try to be practical, like instead of CG.
Right. I'm always disappointed by like when you see there was another movie, I can't think of it now, but like with Indiana Jones 4, they kept saying it's going to be all practical.
God, yeah, and then
they kept saying it over and over again.
They start it with a CG meerkat, and I'm like, well,
Yeah, it was Prairie Dog.
prairie dog. What?
Yeah.
Are they different? Are meerkats? and prairie
Meerkats
dogs
are
the same?
aren't meerkats like an African, like we're talking Timon, like in
Ah.
Africa you have a meerkat and then a
Well,
prairie
there's-
dog you would find in the prairie.
There's Meerkat Manor.
I don't
Which
know.
is a show,
You're probably, if
apparently.
you've seen Meerkat Man,
I mean,
you might
I-
be more knowledgeable.
I don't know.
than I am.
I have no idea.
No clue.
But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I hear that a lot too, where it's like, it's all practical. Like, I think Rogue One did an actually pretty good job of like, I could see where the practical stuff, there's a lot of CG, but like,
Most of it is CG.
yeah, but like when it was practical, like I didn't feel that way so much when I saw Force Awakens. Everything felt very CG, whereas just the ratio, I think, for some reason for Rogue One to me, I felt a little more texture.
I might be mistaken, but I think it actually is the other way around. I think,
It might be.
I
That
think
was just my impression.
Force Awakens used more practical stuff than. I mean, they both CG everywhere. I do not like CG Leia. Maybe I'm not alone.
That's a whole other thing. I think CG, when you take a real person like
Yeah.
Tarkin, I know some people couldn't tell.
Tarkin was
Oh,
awesome.
Tarkin was. Oh, I hated
You
it.
liked
I
it? I
loved
thought you were gonna
it.
say awful. That's really funny.
I
I mean,
hated it. I was like,
I thought it was so
Tarkin-
cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I liked.
so cool.
Here's the thing.
And
I
there was
liked
a-
Rogue One, but like, ugh, those
when
CG people.
when I came out of that movie,
yeah, I
when I
don't
came
know.
out of that movie, my friend said, "How old is that actor?"
That's amazing.
That's-
See, that's amazing to me,
You know,
though.
and-
That
That's
he didn't know.
crazy.
But that's kind of incredible
Like-
that he just went, wow, that guy must be real old.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I mean, I knew instantly, but I'm also hyper
I knew,
sensitive
yeah.
to it. But I mean,
I knew when they
I don't
when
know.
they had the reflection of his face in the window, I was like, okay, that's a
You-
tasteful way to keep doing the CG guy without making it super ridiculous. And then he just turns around and I'm like, oh, all right, we're just going for it. Cool.
Yeah.
But in the same damn movie, they have that woman who looks exactly like Mon Mothma.
See, that I like.
Who's like, no, I love it.
I love that,
I love it.
yeah.
And I'm like, just do that.
Yeah.
Find people who look close enough and go
If it
for
needs to happen, I think that's the classy way to sort of do it.
Yeah.
Because even the guy that they
Because
got
I
to
think
play
people
Tarkin looked
forgive it.
enough like him.
Yeah.
Like they got a guy that looks like him that gives
Really?
a really good performance. Yeah. And I mean, just adding a
And then they
little bit of
CG'd
something.
over him?
If they need to do it, I think sort
Do
of.
some CG makeup
Yeah.
on a real person. The lighting reference
Planet
is
of
there.
the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
But I don't know. I mean, that's an area that I think we're all sort of like, even the filmmakers are like, we don't know if this is okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. They tried something and it was very interesting. Is
Yeah.
that a cat screaming?
There's a baby
Yeah.
crying. I don't know.
Baby
They
crying.
just
Yeah.
plague me everywhere I go. There's children
Just
screaming.
babies, street babies. They're always following you around, crying behind you.
Street babies just everywhere.
Street babies, all them
babies.
street
Well,
babies.
we're running low on time, and we didn't do a lot of the patron comments.
Oh
but they're
no!
all
Let's
wonderful.
let's blow through those.
Nah,
Let's
nah.
blast through them.
Well, I mean, I worked in a lot of it, but I do want to say Pan's Labyrinth mixes. What?
I was just gonna say, you have a set time on this.
Try to go for like an hour.
Wouldn't they rather hear their comments read?
I mean, I said a lot of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All
We
right.
went
Just-
to, like, 4 or
they want to
5.
hear their
Yeah, we went
names
through
though.
4 or
They
5.
want to be like, oh.
All of you are amazing, and I love you. So one last topic I had in mind that I think we could get through kind of quickly is Pan's Labyrinth mixes the CG with the practical stuff, whereas The Thing is all practical. And The Thing, like, I'm not saying that it looks entirely real all the time. Like, clearly these are puppets.
Yeah.
Clearly these are just, like, prosthetic things that have been hosed down. They got a guy who's a double amputee to, like, have that part happen where his arms get cut off. I'm like, that's a cool solution for that.
Great.
Like,
It all works so well.
you know, so, like, I'm saying both of them don't look 100% real all the time.
Right.
But I think everyone at this table would still prefer The Thing. style of effects.
I mean, to me, because it's
I just
also
wonder
the
why that
awe. Well, it's the
Maybe
awe
it's
of
'cause
seeing
when we
something
were
real.
born.
Maybe it is how we grew up, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think, yeah, if you were to take a kid now or someone that's used to CG and then seeing it, they'd be like, ugh, that looks
Show
so
'em
fake.
both.
Yeah, but I think for me, it's the artistry and the craft that goes into it of having something physically constructed. I mean, not to belittle what they do with, CG, an incredible amount of time and effort goes into that, but like having people on all different levels of all different skill sets contributing to something like, the stomach in the thing that opens up. That's baffling to me. Like, just that amount of art and physical production is always going to blow me away. Like, 'cause it's like, wow, it's just a spectacle. I'm both horrified and delighted. I can't believe they did it. They figured out a way to mechanically make that happen in real space. Whereas with CG, I know they can do anything. It may take a lot of time and effort, but like, you can actually do anything. I mean, anyone that's seen that have you guys watched Doctor Strange? Like, there's that one moment where he's like tumbling through all kinds of stuff, and I was like, this is just, they can just do anything now.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily mean it looks 100% real, but it's like they're showing that they can do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas with the practical effects, it's limited. There's, I don't know.
Limitations.
You're limited by reality, and I think that's
sure.
what's so cool. I mean, Alien, everything
That's
in
probably
Alien
why
is...
so many movies are so CG too, is because they want no limitations.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And that's what George Lucas said, right? He could finally do his imagination, and then we're like,
Yeah. Constraining that constraint. When George Lucas and Peter Jackson have unlimited money and no one telling them no.
Yeah.
Bad
That's
things
the most
happen.
important
But that's
thing.
people. That's people in
That's
general.
people in general. Like, I
Yeah.
think Tarantino, like, I miss his editor, Like, I miss her.
Yeah.
Like, you can
Why doesn't
sense...
she call me?
You can sense her absence, though, is what I'm saying. And, like, you need... Like, I think that these big minds need a person to say, whoa, tone it down. Like, pump the brakes. Like, David Lynch on this season of Twin Peaks is a decent example, where it's like, I wish that somebody would have said, like, we could do this in 12 instead of 18, or, like, whatever.
Every human, especially creative people, need someone to say no.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, look at Walt Disney. He's like the king of examples to me. Like, he constantly had his brother, and just the practical, money, everything around him was like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I gotta rethink of this. And so as a result, you have all these layers to what he created. Any creator of any kind, when they're given just free reign, you get something that's maybe not even purely them, because they're not being the most creative version of themselves. They're being
when someone
free.
tells
It's
you
weird.
no, you have to adapt, you have to change, you
it's
have to
something
think outside
amazing.
the box, and you want to prove them wrong.
Yes, there's a whole. I mean, that's what's so incredible about the first Star Wars is you have George Lucas, despite the fact that everything went wrong. I mean, he had a heart attack in the middle of the movie, or almost had a heart attack, and like so
Plus,
you
everyone
got
thought it
this
would be
very
bad,
you got this really, you got the most like, I don't know, like he's fight or flight version of him.
Yeah.
So that movie is an incredible inside look at how brilliant he actually is. I mean, everyone talks about the prequels in a way. They don't like the prequels. I'm not gonna say either way, but you get a version of him that's untethered, and it's strange because what we were used to seeing before is him under the most extreme version of stress.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing just the free version, and it's not the same Star Wars we're used to. So it's not that it's either bad or good, but it's he's a different person. We're seeing a different creative version of him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, like one of my best friends is obsessed with the prequels, and so we have these really interesting discussions about it where what he thinks they're like perfect movies, and it's very interesting. I know, it's very interesting. And but I mean, there's some stuff
Hey
in
man,
that.
I like Jupiter Ascending,
I've never seen it, but
So
to each their own. But I guess all I'm saying is you're seeing a different creative force with the prequels versus the original Star Wars. It's him under different stress.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, you get a different product.
Matrix 1 versus Matrix 3.
Yeah. And 2.
And 2 even.
Is that you? I guess
That's
that is right.
that's
Yeah,
different
they
though,
became
because
very
it was supposed to be
successful.
one movie.
2 was?
No, 1 was supposed to be.
Really?
It was supposed to, Matrix was supposed to be 1.
Oh, Matrix 1 is
Oh, yeah, by
2 and
itself.
3, yeah,
perfection.
yeah.
Standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to attribute, Volker Bach said
Yeah, I
the
like
thing
that name.
about David Fincher.
How do you say his name?
Some of the stuff. I said Volker Bach. but I don't know.
Volkerbach. I butchered it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then John Lipari was the person who said the thing about CG and lighting and practical effects.
John
Cool.
Lipari.
Yeah, so...
What about when CG can do something that is otherwise impossible? I want to think of the Fifth Element / Valerian coming out. You know?
Well, what's
and
an
the thing I can
impossible-
compare Fifth Element to, obviously, is Blade Runner, but... Fifth Element, they're going to like other areas. Like Blade Runner is very like, this alleyway,
Right.
this one building.
There's cityscapes.
For sure, there are
Huge
cityscapes. Of course,
yeah.
yeah,
Huge cityscapes.
for sure. But Valerian seems like, how would you even make that movie practically if you're just going from like planet to planet to planet to like new ecosystem, underwater space? Like how
Differently.
Yeah, just differently.
Yeah.
I think that would be the answer. Is
Yeah.
you would just
'Cause
you would show
hear-
constraint in a different way.
And I think he
Yeah.
even said, he was like, I'm making this movie now because I finally can with technology.
yeah.
And I mean, we'll see it this week or whatever, and
Yeah.
whenever it comes out, 2
Couple-
weeks,
yeah, 2
and then
weeks, yeah.
see if
Hopefully
it
it's good.
sucks or not.
Oh, it's
I'm
good.
very excited,
Looks
but
fine.
I
very
hope every
worried.
movie's good ever.
Yeah,
I
me
never
too.
want a movie
yeah,
to be
I
bad.
want all movies to be great.
Yeah, always.
For some reason,
Early
you were saying
reactions
that,
are pretty decent.
all right.
Pretty decent.
Not amazing.
But this
Yeah.
is also filtered through your
Right.
optimistic, jolly
I
cooperation.
looked
break.
online, some people saw it, and
Okay,
they were like,
alright.
it's pretty good.
For some reason, this
paid
makes
off.
me think about Jodorowsky's Dune, which is an amazing
Everything makes me
documentary.
think about that. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
amazing.
amazing.
Spiritual
Watch-
warrior.
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Is that how you say it, or is it
Jodorowsky.
Jodorowsky?
Jodorowsky.
I thought in the documentary they say it.
So people say different things.
I don't know why.
Either is applicable.
I'm pretty sure he says
Potato
Alejandro
Jodorowsky.
Jodorowsky or whatever, but Jodorowsky, whatever. Jodorowsky's Dune.
It's an incredible, like that and like
Amazing.
Lost in La Mancha
Oh
are
God,
like a double feature.
Lost in La
that-
Mancha is
Yeah.
the
La
most
Mancha.
depressing movie
You'll
I have
never make
ever
anything
seen.
ever again. You'll
Yeah.
never want to make anything. You'll
Lost
never
in
wanna
La
leave the
Mancha is
house.
a tragedy
Yeah,
of Shakespearean plus.
yeah. A lot of
proportions.
practical effects in that.
Oh yeah,
It would have been.
Yeah,
Some
would
pretty
have been.
crazy stuff.
Never gonna happen.
But the thing you were saying about what can you do with CG, I don't. I mean, I think of that Doctor Strange scene where I'm like, yeah, I would never be able to do that now.
Bending
But
buildings.
the problem with that was I was thinking, I don't want to see this. I was like, I didn't need to see an unlimited, like, this is what time and space. There could have been, like, in 2001 when you just see the lights. You
sure.
get that you are emotionally impacted by it
Oh my
because you
God,
see
yeah.
that it's like, oh, he's seeing stuff that even I as a viewer can't understand.
Comparing,
Whereas in, I don't know.
Comparing Marvel to Kubrick.
I know, I'm sorry. But, like, there's
Well,
something
maybe a
to...
quicker comparison, more direct almost, is Interstellar. Like the quantum folding rooms or whatever.
Yeah.
That's practical.
Yeah.
It's
That's why Nolan's
composite.
awesome. He
You
always
feel
adds.
it.
He always adds some.
I thought it was CG, and then I learned
Yeah.
later that it was practical, and I was like, oh, whoa.
It's crazy.
love-
It's crazy.
I
Like
appreciate
Nolan
it.
uses a lot of CG, but he also makes sure to add
Yeah.
like a couple
yeah.
big
Yeah.
practical parts. Like
You feel it. You feel it in your gut.
yeah,
You feel it in your
But,
guts.
the Batmobile scene in Dark Knight, like under the tunnel, cars blowing up everywhere.
Which is
Tumblr.
ridiculous. That scene is
Yeah.
ridiculous. He could have killed so many people.
Wait,
He's got the computer tech though.
you're
He's
talking
like
about
collateral
the-
damage.
The
like,
tunnel
oh,
scene is a
Lord.
lot of miniatures. Like all that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's what you were saying.
I think yeah,
Okay, yeah,
and I
yeah,
think of
I dipped out.
Pirates 3,
Which part?
the like crazy. Most expensive movie
Maelstrom?
ever made, Maelstrom, with
Yeah.
all those miniatures. And
Yeah.
that
Wait,
scene,
that was
the miniatures. There's a lot of miniatures in those
Good
movies.
Lord.
They're
that
amazing.
one scene I heard cost like over $100 million.
Jesus.
Something
Crazy.
And
think
it was
miniatures
dumb.
always like Lord of the Rings. I mean, you see something, you go, "Wow, boy, Minas Tirith looks really awesome,"
Yeah.
and then you realize it's because it's real.
I love miniatures.
Yeah.
Independence Day, when they're blowing up New York and the White House and stuff, they just had models. And like
Yeah.
when the fireball comes down the streets, they just had a model of the city turned like upside down or on its side and just lit a fire below it and shot it slower.
so
And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome.
Brilliant.
cool.
See, that's also the other
fire.
layer to it, where if someone were to say it's CG, end of conversation.
Right.
If someone, how did you do that? We did it practically. Whoa! You open up this whole discussion
Yeah.
of like, well, how
Craft.
did you do it? Yeah, the
Yeah.
craft, the
Yeah.
dimension to it. There's a whole other art to it.
This is not to say that CG is not an art and is not hard.
No,
though.
but it's
For
an
sure.
art with a finite conversation. The
For
conversation is like, I mean,
I mean,
look at
someone
something like
explaining
Moana.
how to do CG to you though
Oh,
would
I
take
would
a
blow
day
my
and a
mind.
half. Yeah.
No, but like there are certain things where I don't know. It's just different. I think it's the creativity of doing something in a practical realm in real life versus. I mean, there's so much skill that comes into like if you watch the making of like I said before, Moana.
Dude,
some people
Avatar.
are like, how did you?
Like,
what
Kubo,
the hair in the water?
Say what you will about
Yeah.
Avatar,
Kubo
but the
and the
CG
Kubo
Kubo was
at the time.
that's the claymation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kubo was
Kubo
very
was great.
interesting.
Yeah.
That is another thing. That's a world between the two.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where like every time I see something that's like Kubo or Coraline, I'm like, I don't know how you did
Coraline's
that.
terrifying.
Oh, I love it. Don't
Or
know
even
how,
like
Motion cap.
Chicken
I said
Run or whatever.
apes earlier. I love that stuff.
apes.
Oh, yeah.
You love Andy Serkis. Big Andy Serkis fan.
Huge.
I mean, again though, like
Huge.
talking about like there's a whole team of CG artists that also make that performance great. You know?
Yeah.
So it's not just that, you know.
Sure.
But whatever.
That's why
I'm
he's
not
not
trying to
nominated.
belittle CG.
No, nobody's
nominated.
belittling
It's a different mode of
Give
thinking.
the man a nomination.
I saw he did an article or something
He
about
will
that.
thank his team in the acceptance speech.
You think
They
so?
will get
It
credit.
was,
I'm
it was
not
all me.
convinced.
Thank you. He's not gonna do that.
Back in the day, didn't he? Like people were
There was
giving
some
him
weird-
flack
there was
'cause
some
he was
weird
like, "I'm
stuff.
doing a performance. This
Yeah,
is
he
me."
was a
And then
little
everyone was
my-
like,
because he's pissed
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Here's my
I get it.
perspective on it is I think that because in my perspective, he was just saying, I did so much of this. There's so much of
It's
me.
his soul.
And I think people extrapolated it and got really angry. I mean, I don't
Right.
know. This is just how I interpreted it, is that, yes,
just-
obviously a team had to stitch it together,
He
had to
wanted
make
it
it
to
work.
still look like he was acting.
Yeah, I think he felt a little like he because he performed the crap out of that. So I think he was maybe trying to point that out, and
Right.
I think it maybe seemed the other way. That's a
Took it
really
around.
weird gray area.
This year, Apes.
Hey, tomorrow.
Nomination. He's getting it.
All right.
That was interesting.
We're running out of time. We're going to do the quote challenge if we've thought of quotes.
Okay,
So you could take a second, think of a quote that,
Very easy.
got it.
that you're pretty sure the rest of us know.
Sure.
And then, yeah. Yeah, I'll just lowball it for you.
No, don't lowball it. Okay, fine, lowball, because that's clearly all you've got. Your face says,
Uh,
I've only got this one.
Well, now I'm trying to remember it. Okay, how about this? I'll go first. No good? No, I just never realized John Wayne walks like that.
Oh, birdcage.
Yep. That was an
Nice.
AJ special.
Yeah, that was right. You aimed it right at
Yeah, I
me.
was
Oh.
like, here, AJ, I'll take this one.
No good?
No good?
No, it's great.
I love
Oh,
that
I just
movie.
realized. Hey, do we all
Go.
got
Go
one?
I got one. You want to hear it? Or are you going to go?
I'm gonna go. I got this
Okay, go.
one.
Okay.
Back to formula.
Oh, I know it. I know it.
Adam's Family?
No. It's,
Back to formula.
It's. Do you want me to say it?
Do it, do it, do
It's
it.
the Val Kilmer one,
No,
isn't it?
no, it's not Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer is in no way involved in this.
Tough formula.
It's Batman, right?
No, it's not Batman.
What?
You're in.
It's not
You're in the
Edward
right realm.
Nygma?
No, it's not. Although maybe he does say that, but that's not what I'm quoting.
No, what is it then? Oh, hang on.
like Reanimator.
No,
Is it John Carrey? Jim Carrey?
nope. You could be in maybe a
Back to
similar realm.
Formula?
Back to formula.
The Mask.
Batman. No, I just said Batman.
It's
God damn it, I know this. Hang on.
all right. He's got a very interesting face. We've talked about at least one movie that he's been in today. Trying to think if I can give another hint. He's relevant to the many topics we've talked about today.
do you have another-
He is a rubber man.
Yeah. Robin Williams?
No.
No.
Back to formula.
Back to the Future Part 3.
That's what it. No, it's not that. Remember that?
Do you have
great
another
scene?
quote from the movie?
Yeah. Oh boy. Let's see.
To formula.
I know this. It's like I'm kicking
It's
myself.
Yeah.
so weird.
It's right on the tip
What
of
is
my tongue.
What the-
I started this company.
The Hudsucker Proxy.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm thinking of it's the weirdest part of that movie. It's the most unmemorable part of this entire film.
I give up.
I'll give you. Here's a quote to the sequel. Same kind of role in the sequel movie. You listen to me now.
What the hell is going
I
on?
give up.
I hope someone out there knows. Okay, all right. You give up.
Formula?
It's Willem Dafoe
Yeah.
in Spider-Man.
yeah.
When he busts out and goes back to formula.
I knew it was a villain in a superhero movie talking to
Yeah.
someone. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was the scene when Edward Nygma gets fired.
I know. It's almost the same scene.
It's like the same scene.
Yeah,
I knew the scene, just the wrong movie. Oh my god, you're right.
But then the "you listen to me now" is when Doc Ock
Yeah.
takes over his thing.
yeah.
I don't know why we used to say those in college all the time.
there was a firefight. All right, what was yours?
Sorry, what was yours? I threw us
That
through
was
a
a
loop.
hard one.
Was it
Yeah,
hard?
Yeah, it
really
was
hard.
great.
Oh,
No, it was
okay,
great.
good.
Because I knew it, but I was like, what
I
is
like
this?
use that GIF more than I should.
Back to formula.
You maniacs. You blew it up.
I know
You
it.
blew it all up. God damn you all the hell.
That's from.
I know it.
God.
I know it.
God, why? That's gonna drive me crazy. It's an alien movie.
No.
No.
Well,
No.
Oh, okay.
no.
I meant from the movies
No.
of aliens.
We're back. We're finally back after all this time. We were here.
It's not a Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
All right.
Spaceballs. Oh shit.
I thought it was
craving
Planet of the
apes.
Apes
There
first.
goes the
I'm ready for apes.
Yeah,
Planet of the
clearly.
Apes.
I knew that. It's funny. I knew that first, and I questioned it. I was like, wait, but I don't know those movies that well.
Woody Harrelson, dude, he looks hammy in the new one. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
He's
Chewing
always
some
hammy.
chewing the
He's
scenery.
always
Chewing the
hammy.
scenery.
He does that. That's his thing.
I
He's
know.
great at that.
And yeah, he's one of the ones that can
Get away with
can
it.
do it.
For
Yeah.
sure.
He's like, did you see for like the new Han Solo movie? He was just like dropping spoilers, like here's my character name, and like I was just like, wow, he's above the system.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He knows he's bulletproof. He can.
Woody Harrelson.
All right, well
I didn't even know he was
we're
in that.
Isn't it? It's Woody Harrelson, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like the new. I don't know. He's a new Star Wars character. There'll be little
Sweet.
Woody Harrelson action figures you can get.
There will be a day in the very near future where every single person in Hollywood
Will have been
Has
in
been
the
will
in
have
Star
been
Wars.
in a Marvel or Star Wars film.
That's.
But who will
probably
have
true.
been in both? That's the
Ooh.
real question.
Ryan Reynolds.
I wonder if there's already been. Yeah, maybe.
Is there? There's got to be someone that's been in both already. Ooh.
Simon Pegg, has he ever been in a?
Alan Tudyk has
Alan
been in that.
Tudyk.
Yeah, he's in everything. He's
Yes.
the chicken in Moana. He's that robot in Rogue One. He was
Yeah.
the.
Wash.
He was in that
K2SO.
weird. Wasn't there? Or was it DC or Marvel where he was in
Wash.
that TV show where it was like just normal people in like a Marvel world?
Oh, Powerless or whatever. I never saw
don't
it.
think
Powerless,
I
canceled.
think it was called Powerless. All right, we're out of time. The assignment film
Jam.
for next month was going to be The Thing because, but I'm gonna save that probably for like scary, spooky Halloween episode.
But it's not a spooky movie.
It's a Halloweeny thing.
But
a
no, it's an appropriate movie.
horror
Did you see
film.
that whole big piece of ice just broke off in like the?
Yeah,
the
it's
Arctic?
real now.
So
We're all
now
horror.
it's
Thing is
relevant.
real.
It's topical.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that bacteria is floating this way.
But what the assignment film is going to be is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
All right, I'll take it.
Probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
Bob
Boy,
Hoskins, one of my favorite
Amazing.
actors of
Oh
all
my
time.
God, rip.
we went through this whole thing.
The Long
with
Good Friday.
We hardly touched Roger Rabbit in this discussion.
Oh, well,
'Cause
we'll
next
talk
time-
about it a lot. But
That's crazy.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Good Lord. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned a term from it that I never knew. Bumping the lamp, where
Yeah.
it's from this movie. I learned it from a YouTube video I was watching yesterday. But just like Bob Hoskins bumps this lamp so that the light is moving back and forth for an entire scene, and they had to animate the character.
Roger's shadow. The lighting changes on his face. You don't even think about it when you're watching.
You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And his ears are like slightly translucent because they're thinner. Apparently, I was like,
Crazy.
what?
It's just yeah.
Best movie.
Movie's
movie.
amazing.
Anyway, so watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit because next month's theme is film noir, baby. Noir. We're gonna watch them.
We're gonna watch some noirs.
Scott!
It's good.
It's gonna be good. All right.
So many greats.
It's all the greats.
Oh my God.
Well, thank
Film
you.
noir, dude. There's like 10 million.
10
Yeah.
million. And we're gonna
Film
talk about
noir
it all
films.
next month.
But mostly Roger
1930s
Rabbit.
and 40s.
Mostly Roger Rabbit, probably a little Chinatown, some touch of evil.
Film noir
What's
was
your favorite film noir?
Film noir was Marvel before Marvel.
This is true.
Crank 'em.
Yeah,
is
crank
true.
them out.
Crank 'em.
My favorite film noir, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Touch of Evil
counts.
is my
Chinatown.
number one all
Really?
time.
Touch of Evil is very
The
good.
Big
Goat.
Sleep.
Big Sleep
Big
also
Sleep.
goat.
Yeah.
Dark Passage goat.
Did you say
Millions.
goat?
Goat.
That is the name of a
That's
noir.
a video
I
game
don't know.
thing. No, it means Goaty. Game of the year.
Ah, so I
Greatest of
don't
all
get
time.
you
Greatest of all
kids.
time.
Yeah,
I get
those
it.
kids.
There's kids with the goats.
Those kids watching those 1980s movies.
And the film noirs. What are these old people? Actually, these kids are kind of all right, except that word goat. All right, I'll
getting all
stop
of them
prolonging
now.
this.
Anyway, thanks AJ
Thank you.
for whatever this just was.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Making
Huber,
fun
for
of
getting us
everyone.
back on track.
Trying. I like Guillermo.
Who?
Quite a bit.
Guillermo who?
Yeah, we barely
Del
talked about
Toro.
Pan's
He's the master.
Anyway,
The puppet master. Yo, Shape of Water. Put it on your radar. It's coming out. Rated
yeah?
R. Guillermo this year.
Shape of Water.
Doug Jones yet again.
Of course.
Doug Jones.
He's in there.
Yeah.
Get hyped.
He doesn't even hire him anymore.
Cold-
Doug Jones just
He
shows
just
up.
shows up.
Yeah.
Guillermo del
got
Toro
a
doing
spot for
a
me?
Cold War thriller horror
This
movie.
this is my Doug.
Yeah.
Ah.
The
Smells
Shape of
like
Water.
a man.
The Shape of Water.
Thanks for watching. See you next month. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I didn't eat these chips.
Oh.
Ah, I'm gonna eat one now. I
Right
need
at
a
the
fish
end.
chip.
We'll cut back. And
Ooh,
show you.
wow, what a smell.
You're gonna hate this thing.
Ooh,
Is it a tingly prawn
yeah,
cocktail?
that's exactly what it says it is. Not bad.
Okay.
Let me smell it.
Yeah. Okay. No, never mind. Second one.
Oh, Jesus.